You've been lied to, not just by movies, not just by friends, by an entire culture that pretends to understand what makes women choose men. They told you it's about looks. They told you it's about money. They told you it's about charm or status or some perfect combination of all three. But that's not the truth. The truth is buried deeper, in instincts older than language, older than society, older than the idea of love itself. And once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Because women don't give themselves to men the way men think. They don't surrender their bodies because of excitement or attraction alone. They do it because something inside them, something ancient, decides this one is safe. Not safe as in soft, not safe as in weak, safe as in anchored, safe as in unshakable. Most men never pass that test. They chase, they impress, they posture, and yet something always feels off. They can sense she's holding back. She smiles, but it's polite. She texts, but it's cold. She's there, but she's not there. And they don't know why. It's because attraction without safety is like fire without oxygen. It looks alive for a second, then dies. I once knew a man like that. He had everything other men envied: height, looks, followers, money. But every woman he touched eventually drifted away. They liked his image. They never trusted his soul because he couldn't make them feel safe. His emotions were chaos. His words shifted with the wind. His silence screamed instability. And then there was another man, plain, ordinary, the kind of guy no one would look twice at. Yet women stayed with him, desired him, chose him over men better in every measurable way. Why? Because his energy said, I can hold you, and I won't break. That's the difference. Attraction gets her interest. Safety earns her surrender. Every man believes women choose excitement, but excitement fades. What never fades, what burns deeper than lust, is safety. Not the kind that wraps her in comfort, the kind that steadies her soul. See, to a woman, intimacy isn't just a moment. It's a risk. It's the biological equivalent of stepping off a cliff and trusting you'll be caught. And she will never fall into a man's arms unless her instincts whisper, he won't drop me. You can't fake that. You can't buy it. You can't charm your way into it. Emotional safety is felt in silence, in the way you breathe when she tests you, in how you respond when she shows the ugliest parts of herself and waits to see if you flinch. When she opens up and your face doesn't change, when she cries and you don't try to fix it, just listen. When she stumbles and you don't shame her, that's when her body finally says, now I can trust him. And here's the brutal truth. Most men destroy safety without realizing it. They judge. They interrupt. They vanish when things get messy. They think confidence means dominance, when in reality, true power is composure. A woman's body is hardwired for survival. Every cell inside her calculates risk. If you make her feel emotionally unsafe, if your anger spikes, if your tone cuts, if your energy feels unstable, her desire shuts down instantly. She doesn't choose it. Her biology does. That's why beautiful women often choose ordinary men, the ones who make them feel calm instead of chaotic. The world calls it settling. It's not. It's evolution. So stop asking, how do I attract her? Start asking, can she relax around me? Because the man who creates safety wins what others can only chase. Remember this, a woman doesn't open her body because you excite her. She opens it because she knows you won't weaponize her vulnerability. And until you master that truth, you'll always be temporary. She doesn't fall for what you say. She falls for what you repeat. Every man can sound confident once. Every man can look solid for a week. But only a few can stay that way when no one's watching. That's where desire lives, in repetition. Consistency is the silent language of reliability. It tells her, I can count on him. And when a woman can count on you, her guard falls. Her attraction deepens. But when your words say one thing and your actions drift somewhere else, she feels it instantly. She might not call it out, but something inside her disconnects. That spark you once had, it begins to dim. Most men never notice. They think she lost interest. No, she lost faith, because inconsistency is betrayal in slow motion. And the moment she senses that betrayal, Respect dies first. Desire dies next. Here's the brutal irony. The man who brags about loyalty is usually the first to fail it. The man who never mentions it, but lives it every day, becomes unforgettable. Women are not drawn to promises. They are drawn to patterns. Because her mind remembers your words, but her body remembers your rhythm. You can't fake that rhythm. You either live steady or you don't. Imagine this. You tell her you're ambitious, but you spend your nights scrolling through distractions. You say you're grounded, but every argument turns into emotional chaos. You promise peace, but your habits breed noise. She notices. Always. Because she's scanning you constantly, not out of paranoia, but out of instinct. She's asking a single unspoken question. Can I relax with him long term? And if your energy changes every week, the answer is no. Consistency isn't sexy at first. It's quiet. But it's that quiet stability that builds desire strong enough to last. So understand this truth. Attraction is not a prize you win once. It's a flame you must feed every day. And every broken word, every delayed promise, every lapse in effort pours water on that flame. The men who master consistency don't chase loyalty. They command it. Every woman you've ever met has tested your composure. Not because she wants drama, but because she needs to know if your calm is real. Because here's the truth. When a man loses his composure, he loses her respect. And when respect dies, desire doesn't just fade, it vanishes. A man who yells when challenged, who sulks when ignored, who storms out when things don't go his way, that man reveals more than emotion. He reveals instability. And instability, to her instincts, screams danger. For thousands of years, women survived by reading the signals of men, their tone, their eyes, their breathing. Back then, it meant life or death. If he panicked when the wolves came, she died too. That wiring never left her. Today, the wolves are bills, conflict, stress, but she's still watching, asking, can this man stay grounded when everything around him shakes? Most men fail that test. They call it passion. She calls it volatility. They call it standing their ground. She calls it losing control. Composure isn't silence. It's power contained. It's the ability to stay unmoved when chaos tries to pull you under. When she raises her voice and you don't match her volume, that's composure. When she throws emotional storms your way and you stay steady, measured, grounded, that's leadership. Because the moment you start reacting, you stop leading. Women don't want men who dominate them. They want men who can absorb the storm without shattering. That's the difference between a boy who reacts and a man who commands. You can have money, looks, status. None of it matters if you crumble under pressure, because when you break, she loses the one thing she needs most: safety. And here's the twist. She will test you on purpose. She'll push, provoke, even pick fights just to see if you can hold your frame. Not because she hates you, but because she's wired to seek strength she can trust. So remember this. Composure isn't the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of it. And every time you keep your cool when chaos erupts, her biology whispers, that's him. Here's the paradox that most men never understand. The harder you chase her, the further she runs. The more you try to prove you deserve her, the less she desires you. Because women don't fall for pressure, they fall for presence. And presence is born from restraint, from the ability to want her, but not need her. Respecting her boundaries isn't weakness, it's silent dominance. It tells her, I don't have to control you. I can control myself. And that to a woman is power. You've been fed lies since childhood. Movies telling you to never give up, that persistence wins her heart, that the man who keeps showing up eventually earns her love. But in reality, persistence without awareness doesn't create attraction. It kills it. Because every time you ignore her no, her space, her silence, you broadcast desperation. And desperation doesn't read as love. It reads as insecurity. Strong men don't chase validation. They command respect through detachment. When you can want a woman deeply and still walk away if she's not reciprocating, that's when she feels your value. Because you've proven you have options. You've proven you have discipline. You've proven you are not controlled by her approval. And here's the brutal truth. A woman will test your respect more than she tests your composure. She'll pull back, she'll draw lines, she'll say, not yet, when she's not always rejecting you. She's measuring you. She wants to know if your desire is built on control or chaos. If you push, she closes. If you respect her boundary, she starts to relax. And once she relaxes, her desire grows on its own. Because nothing is more seductive to a woman than a man who can walk away. That's the paradox of power. The man who doesn't beg for connection ends up getting it freely. So understand this law. You don't win a woman by breaking her walls. You win her by making her feel safe enough to lower them herself. That's the difference between manipulation and mastery. One forces surrender, the other inspires it. Every man wants to know the secret, the formula, the one trick that makes women desire him endlessly. But there isn't one. There are four, and they're not techniques. They're states of being: emotional safety, consistency. Composure, respect for boundaries. Alone, each of them matters. Together, they create gravity. That's what most men don't understand. Attraction isn't a spark you light, it's a field you build. And when a man embodies all four, women don't just like him, they gravitate toward him. Because what she feels around him isn't manipulation or charm, it's stability. And stability is the rarest thing in a world built on noise, uncertainty, and fragile egos. Think about it. When you create emotional safety, her guard drops. When you live with consistency, her trust grows. When you stay composed under pressure, her respect deepens. And when you honor her boundaries, her desire ignites. That's the chain reaction no pickup trick can imitate. That's the psychology no dating hack can fake. You're not trying to get her. You're creating the space where she chooses you. Not because she's impressed, but because her instincts tell her, this man will not break me. Most men live in reverse. They chase validation. They mirror trends. They think seduction is performance. But women are not drawn to performance. They're drawn to presence. And presence is what happens when you stop trying to prove your worth and start embodying it. That's why a man who walks with quiet confidence can outshine a man shouting his achievements. Because calm power doesn't announce itself. It radiates. So understand this. The four drivers are not tools. They are your reflection. They are who you become when your inner world is in order. A woman doesn't give herself to the loudest man in the room. She gives herself to the man whose silence feels like safety. When these four energies align within you, you stop chasing connection and start commanding it. Every man thinks losing a woman happens suddenly. It doesn't. It happens quietly, piece by piece, moment by moment. It starts the second you break one of the laws. You lose emotional safety. She smiles less. You lose consistency. Her texts get shorter. You lose composure. Her respect slips. You ignore boundaries. Her desire vanishes. You don't even notice it at first. You think she's busy. You tell yourself she's just tired. But deep down, something's shifting. Her energy isn't warm anymore. Her laughter sounds forced. She's present, but her soul isn't. And you can feel it. That slow, invisible withdrawal that kills men louder than heartbreak ever could. The truth? You didn't lose her because of another man. You lost her because she no longer trusted you to lead. Every time you broke composure, her instincts logged danger. Every time your words didn't match your actions, her biology whispered, he's unreliable. Every time you disrespected her boundaries, her body shut down. And eventually her attraction didn't just fade, it flipped. Because once a woman stops feeling safe, she starts associating you with stress. And no one desires what drains them. That's the tragedy of modern men. They chase women harder instead of fixing their foundation. They double down on flowers, dates, gifts. But attraction isn't repaired with effort. It's rebuilt with alignment. You can't buy back what your energy broke. You can only become the man who never breaks it again. So here's the hard truth. If she walked away, don't hate her. Study the version of you she left. That man wasn't bad, just incomplete. He thought confidence was noise. He thought masculinity was aggression. He thought love was ownership. But women don't want ownership. They want orbit, to revolve around a man whose center doesn't shake. You can either learn these laws now or repeat this pattern forever. The choice is brutal, but it's simple. evolve, or stay the same, and keep losing what you could have led. Now you understand the four hidden drivers. But there's one final truth that sits above them all, and without it, every law collapses. It's this: a woman doesn't want to be your purpose. She wants to witness it. Every man who forgets that truth loses himself. And when he loses himself, he loses her. Because the masculine energy she's drawn to isn't found in status, words, or control. It's found in direction, in mission, in a man whose eyes see beyond her, whose actions are rooted in something bigger than her approval. That's the paradox. The more you make her your world, the faster she leaves it. But the moment you make your world bigger than her, she wants to be part of it. Women are magnetized by men who are anchored in something eternal, a dream, a vision, a code, because that's the energy of leadership. The energy that whispers, "Follow me," not because I demand it, but because I know where I'm going. And that's what separates the ordinary from the unforgettable. The ordinary man bends his frame around emotion. The unforgettable man holds his frame through emotion. One chases approval, the other commands respect. When your life has mission, women don't test you to see if you'll stay. They test you to see if you'll break. And when you don't, when you remain steady through temptation, rejection, and chaos, they feel something deeper than attraction. They feel trust. That's when desire becomes devotion. So understand this: every law you've learned, safety, consistency, composure, boundaries, they all orbit this one. Because a man on mission naturally embodies them all. He's safe because he's grounded. He's consistent because he has purpose. He's composed because he's focused. He respects boundaries because he respects himself. And when a man reaches that level, women stop being goals. They become mirrors, reflections of the energy he already owns. So remember this forever: a woman doesn't give herself to the man she loves most. She gives herself to the man she trusts most. And trust only exists in the presence of purpose. That is the highest law. Now that you know the truth, you can never unhear it. Because every illusion you were sold about women, attraction, love, desire, was only half the story. The other half has always been you. The man you become determines the women you attract. Not the muscles, not the money, not the charm, but the energy that leaks out of you when no one's watching. You've spent years trying to learn what women want, but the real question was never what they want. It was who you are while wanting them. You could memorize every tactic, every phrase, every alpha secret the internet screams about. But none of it matters if your presence is hollow. Because women don't respond to performance, they respond to truth. And truth doesn't need to shout. It just stands there, calm, certain, immovable. That's the kind of man who doesn't beg for love. He attracts it. So here's your reality check. You don't chase women, you build gravity. You become the man whose silence is louder than another's words. The man who listens more than he boasts. The man who leads not through force, but through direction. And when you live that way, everything changes. Women start to notice you differently. Men start to respect you instinctively. And you start to feel something you might not have felt in years: peace. Because peace is power. Power is presence. And presence is the deepest form of attraction that exists. The men who understand this stop fighting for attention. They become attention. So if you've made it this far, this isn't just a video for you, it's a mirror. You can either keep playing the same game you've always played, or you can become the man every woman subconsciously searches for. Not because you tricked her, but because you embodied what her instincts crave. So ask yourself one last question. When she meets you, will she feel chaos, or will she feel calm? Because in that moment, her body will decide before her mind ever can. And if you've mastered yourself, you won't have to chase, she'll already be moving toward you.